journey that we went on when Asher underwent a few surgeries a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to first give you a little backstory on why he needed the surgeries that he did. Asher was actually diagnosed with a mild sleep apnea 2 years ago, and so it's common for people with Down syndrome to have sleep apnea, and your pediatrician actually recommends that you have a sleep study done by the age of 3 or 4. So Asher showed signs of it early on, and that's why he had it done early. And because of that, he did have his adenoids shaved, not actually removed at that time. And sadly, at his most recent, he went from having mild apnea to severe. And so what that means for Asher is we needed to do everything that we could so that he was able to breathe easier while he sleeps. So the surgeries that he had done were a tonsillectomy, an adenoidectomy because they actually had to remove a growth from it. And then they went ahead and had his left tube put back in, and they checked out his right ear because Asher has a hole on his eardrum from a tube that fell out previously. But sadly, the tube could not go in the right ear at that time. And then he also had an ABR done on top of that, which is a sedated hearing test. So a lot of people have asked me, and you might be thinking, why would you have so much stuff done at once? You know, isn't that dangerous? What are the risks? And the thing is, when it comes to Asher and others with Down syndrome, it's actually more of a risk to have them go under and be sedated multiple times. And so for Asher, we decided that it was best to have everything done, and we scheduled it with all of his surgeons to be able to do everything that he needed done at this time. So it's the day of Asher's surgery, and of course he finds the first computer he can. He loves to play games a lot, but we're just waiting right now to go back and get a room. So one thing that I do want to recommend or give advice on is if your child or even your teenager is having a surgery, bring anything and everything that you can that comforts them. And you know, that could be a blanket, a pacifier, a stuffed animal. For Ash, it was actually cars. He loves anything with wheels, and so we packed up a lot of his toys that he loved to play with. And we were thankful enough though, the hospital actually has a lot of stuff there, and they actually had cars. And by cars, I mean vroom vrooms for Ash. They're the ride-on cars. He has a blue one at home, and we take him everywhere in that thing more than we do with his stroller. And so if you bring something that your kid is used to playing with, it will make them feel a lot more comfortable and a little less stressed, which will then help you be less stressed as you're waiting, because you can end up waiting a while in the room until you get situated for them to take your kid back for their surgery. So Asher's surgery went really well. All of the doctors were able to do what they needed to, and he ended up having to go and stay overnight in the PICU because of his severe sleep apnea. They wanted to make sure that he was monitored all night. And so something that I've learned is that when you have a child who cannot communicate a lot with words, and then you have them have a surgery done on their mouth, it is very hard, to say the least. It's already hard for a kid to recover from a surgery, but then you take a kid who wants to tell you so badly that they're in pain and they can't, and it's a disaster. I would recommend, if your kid uses any type of program or a tablet for communicating, bring that with you. Not only will it help you when they want to watch their shows, of course, but it can come in handy for them to let you know that they're hurting, because that was the hardest thing for me, is just watching him be so upset and not be able to tell anybody, you know, what specifically is hurting him. So once Asher woke up a little more from anesthesia, he wasn't as grumpy, but he was still very irritable and extremely annoyed. He wasn't able to eat or drink anything, and I think that his throat was just hurting him a lot. And no matter how much we stayed up on the pain medicine, it just drove him crazy. And so the doctor let us know that he needed to drink at least 7 ounces of fluids or, Jello in order to not stay multiple nights. And so we were really hoping that he would drink anything at this point. And my mom even came by and we tried to give him a chocolate shake, which for those of you guys who know, my son loves all things chocolate and he wouldn't even drink that. So I knew that we were gonna be in for a rude awakening. And of course we knew the first night was gonna be rough because he didn't want to sleep and they kept coming in to check his vitals. But thankfully he did sleep for a few hours so we could at least rest. So we did get a little bit of sleep, but if you've ever stayed at a hospital, then you know that the beds are not comfortable and it's so hard with them coming in and out, checking on the patient. But it doesn't stop there because my child loves to get croup. And I think that it's just common amongst our kiddos with their small airways. And then you do a surgery like this. Now, Asher didn't actually get croup, but because of the surgery and the inflamed throat, he ended up waking up with stridor. So we have woken up this morning sounding like we have stridor. Thankfully, we were able to get his stridor symptoms under control with a steroid, but the biggest problem we dealt with most of the morning on the first night stay was that Asher would not drink anything still. And he was starting to get a lot more annoyed. He realized that he couldn't get out of bed because he had the IV strapped to him with the monitors and such. And he was not happy that he had to stay in bed, even with all of the shows in the world. So we had to pull out some of his cars, and thankfully he played with those for a little bit and took a nap. So another thing that I was asked a lot is, did I go to the surgery with Asher and stay overnight alone? That is a big fat heck no. Now, I understand that a lot of people have no choice, especially when someone has to go to work and they can't get off, or maybe you're a single parent. I know that there are so many reasons why you can't, and the nurses and the doctors and the staff are always amazing at the hospital when your kids have surgeries and such and take care of them. But for me, I would have lost my mind. And so I'm really thankful that my husband was able to come. He was able to get off work and stay overnight and even slept in the tiny little chair that is supposed to be a Chase Lounge bed. And so if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to, because you have to think about it. You're sitting in the room with your kid who's recovering. You're in the PICU. You can't go anywhere, and you need to go to the bathroom or make a phone call or eat anything. And so thankfully with my husband there, we were able to switch on and off. And honestly, Asher is a mama's boy, but he's also such a daddy's boy. And so my husband was able to comfort him a lot when he was upset and in pain. So thankfully, after he started feeling better from the steroid medicine, we were able to get Asher to drink his bottle, and he drank enough throughout the afternoon that they said he could go home and that he did not need to stay over a second night. So we were very happy and very relieved to be able to go home and sleep in our own bed, because that's really what he needed, was just to be in his own environment to recover. Are we leaving, Ash? Say, yeah, we're out of here. See you later, hospital. I just want to say thank you so much for watching our YouTube videos and subscribing to our channel. If you love this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribing to our channel, go ahead and do that now so that you can see any future videos that we put up. I also would love to hear from you guys that have had similar stories to Asher's. If your kid has had a surgery, post it in the comments below. Or if you have any questions or concerns about an upcoming surgery that your child might be having, I'd love to hear from you as well. Thanks, bye.